In today's video, I'm going to walk through the top 4 organic strategies you can use for your e-commerce business to break through that $10,000 per month plateau and get it towards that 30 to 50K per month. And these are the same strategies that we've used for our e-commerce business. I co-founded an e-com brand in 2013 with my brother. We left our corporate jobs and started a cold press juice company from the kitchen bench. It now goes on to do multiple 7 figures per year. And I've also helped over 200 e-commerce brands hit record revenue months, their first 10K, 20K, 30K, also up to 50K per month using these strategies. And today we're talking about organics. So there's 4 main strategies that we use over and over, rinse and repeat, iterate as we go, as we get feedback from the market, that we use on a daily basis. So the really important thing to understand with organic is that it's mostly manual. Okay, if it's not you, it's somebody within your team doing it, or a VA or something like that. Okay, so it is manual. It needs to be done consistently. So when we do our organic efforts, sometimes it can either have delayed gratification or no gratification. So it's one thing that we really need to note, that our organic efforts, yes, manual, yes, sometimes time intense, pay dividends in other ways. And it's something that we call our magic 3 components of our traffic, but also what we call our marketing triangle within our Ecom Blueprint community. That's what we call a marketing triangle, where we have our organic efforts, our paid efforts, and our database efforts, and they all circumvent and have an omnipresence when it comes to how we extract more sales and revenue from our business. So the organic side, which we're focusing on today, doesn't get necessarily direct results, but it does pay dividends across the other platforms. So that's something we really need to be aware of, and something we need to keep on the straight and narrow when it comes to consistency of doing the activity daily. So the first thing that we look at is our social content, all right? So wherever your audience predominantly is, for most people, 9 times out of 10, it's definitely Instagram. So we need to treat our profiles as if it was a shop front, meaning that when people come to our page, it's as if someone's walking in the front door of our brick and mortar store. So that means that what do they expect to see when they walk in? Obviously, they've seen some sort of signpost or signage out the front, and they're interested in that product. So they've come to your Instagram page. Now, when they walk through the door, what do they expect to see? Okay, they typically want to see products. They typically want to see some sort of person willing to sort of help them, right? But point them in the right direction. So that's where we can use our description in our bio as our navigator. Okay, what we do, who we're for, who we make these products for, how they benefit. Okay, so we need to be really clearly signposted. Now, when it comes to the actual content side of things, that's where we need to keep people up to date. Okay, so again, if you think about something like Black Friday sale, for example, if you walk into a physical store and we're in May and they've got a Black Friday poster hanging up on the wall and you're like, what's that about? They're gonna say, oh no, that was 5-6 months ago. So why on earth on our Instagram pages would we have old content that's not relevant anymore? We need to remove or hide that content, okay? So then with the consistency of content, we also need to keep people up to date. We need to talk about our products in different ways, display them in certain mechanisms that helps people relate to what it is and how it helps them. So for example, if there's education needed around how your product benefits, it might be something like educating people on cold pressed juice cleansing, or we had a client in our community that did organic tooth powder, right? It was a different concept to what people are used to. There's some education that forms a lot of the content. So we need to be posting content, honestly, every single day if possible, 4 to 5 times a week minimum. And that's a combination of static posts, videos, reels, anything that can be displayed on the feed. In terms of our stories and constant updates, that needs to be done daily. We need to be able to capture a photo or video, whether it's behind the scenes, whether it's packaging a product. Just keep people involved in your business and keep creating affinity to you. And then if you need content ideas, definitely look at what people in your industry are doing, people in your markets, even people that you follow quite closely online. Just get inspiration. There's literally infinite ideas. Now, that can be also the challenge, right? Having too many ideas, but you just have to go and execute one at a time. Now, if you need a resource, something like answerthepublic.com, I think it's Neil Patel's site, and you can basically look that up and look at ideas for what content is valuable to people in your demographic, in your client avatar. You can also use the likes of ChatGPT to literally brainstorm infinite ideas that you can go and create content. In fact, it'll probably give you the instructions step by step of how to do it. So content is king. It needs to ensure that people know that somebody is home, there's someone and something behind the brand that they're looking to go and potentially purchase from. The other thing too is it lets the algorithm know that someone's home. It helps with ads, it helps testing with content, and you can obviously flick that back into your ads as well in that paid capacity. So that's the first thing, is content and your social profiles. The second thing is running competitions. Now, this is something that people may have experimented with before, but I really want to emphasize the importance of it. So when we run a competition, we want to have a timeline of how long we're running it for. We want to have a prize that we're actually giving away, and then we want to understand the platform that we are going to market that thing on, and also have a call to action. So two types of campaigns. One is to build an email database. The second is to build our social following. We only ever want to do one call to action at once. But what we actually need to do here is discover how long we're going to run it for. So typically a good time frame is, I would say 5 to 10 days, probably maximum. Okay, sometimes we can do a monthly, competition, but we don't run that consistently. That might be doing a once-off. But 5 to 10 days is pretty optimal. The prize needs to be something of value that someone is going to exchange their details for, either in the follow or giving you their email address. All right, so we need to make it worth it. Now that is also about how we position it. So for example, we had a recent client who makes soaps. Okay, so firstly, the relevance of the giveaway or the prize needs to be resonating with your target demographic. So if you're selling soaps, you want to give away soaps. If you're selling soaps, you do not want to give away a MacBook Air, for example. Okay, they're two different things. You get two different types of demographic coming through. So you need to make sure that the prize is relevant and enticing. And for them, they positioned it that we'll give you a year's supply worth of soaps, which is amazing. That's an amazingly valuable prize. But at the end of the day, it's probably only, 1 bar a month, for example. Okay, so the perception was huge and very little cost of goods to the person, the client in this case. Okay, and then you need to obviously push it out. So whether it's on your socials, might put some budget behind it if you're looking to acquire email addresses. And if it's just running for your socials, doing followers, it's obviously a like and tag competition that we're pretty familiar with. And if you're not, you can obviously look that up, or you may have seen them on other socials too. So competition's really valuable. It builds database, it builds hype, it uses the give strategy, meaning like, hey, come and get something, like we want to engage with you, okay? And then over the longer term, a big chunk of those people that you acquire into your database, either socials or emails, will become customers with enough nurturing, with enough retargeting through emails and also your social ads as well. And the third thing is influencers or even affiliates, okay? So basically what you're looking to do here is leverage other people's audience. So especially when we're doing less than 10K per month with our e-commerce business, the fastest way to expand our sphere of influence, expand our reach, is to leverage off other people's audiences. Okay, so this is where influencers come into it. Affiliates is similar, meaning that doesn't matter about the size of their audience per se. They can sell to friends, family, and people in their networks. That's not necessarily relevant to how big of an influence they actually have. Where influencers themselves have access to hopefully thousands or tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of people that have similar interests to them. So for example, health and wellness, cold pressed juice, you want to go after influencers in that space that have the same demographic as you. They might be organic or vegan or doing Pilates or yoga or something like that. It's the same demographic that's going to be interested in cold pressed juice cleansing. So it can pay huge dividends, all right? And so what we want to look at from an output perspective is essentially sales, number one, for sure, people coming over and buying from you after their recommendation. Number two is the audience coming over to you, so you get followers and likes and you expand your audience like we spoke about, and then you can get content from them. So it's 3 tiers in terms of the benefits of using influencer marketing. But again, the explosion point of brands that I see under that 50K a month mark is from other people's audiences, leveraging other people's audiences. So another client, Adrian, in our community, went from 2K to 38K the next month from somebody influential in the skincare market posting and promoting about his product. He got that many sales, an extra 36K in that month, because someone of influence posted about his product and recommended it. And then there was a really big flow-on knock-on effect. So he hasn't dropped below 25K a month since that point, and he'll continue to grow and scale because he knows how strong and powerful this strategy can be. So influencer marketing or using other people's audience, super powerful. And the fourth thing, again, using other people's audiences, but even on a bigger scale, is using in media, right? So public relations, media, right? We don't want to sound corporate-y when we say this, but using publications specifically, so things like health and wellness magazines or online forums where you can either pay or for free get published by these people and recommended by these people. And some of these publications have tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of readers or subscribers. And so getting just a portion fed to these people is extremely powerful. We had that experience with Karmic. We had the Urban List publish about us. We did a campaign with them. It was actually a paid organized campaign at this point, but we got tens of thousands of dollars of benefit from it. And it was because it was directly marketing or promoting us to our target audience. We couldn't get that level of growth or scale on our own, or at least in the period of time that they were able to allow us. They were sending their emails and their socials to tens of thousands of people that were interested in health and wellness. And we were right there ready to capture that market. So PR, public relations, getting published is the best or organic way to get that expansion, to, as I say, leverage other people's audiences. So I mentioned paid and organic. You can do both ways. Same thing with influencers. Some are paid, some are organic, right? Just be savvy enough, be clever enough, and get enough experience with these strategies to find ways to be able to get them as cheaply as possible, right? We're talking about inputs to direct outputs. And if it makes sense when you're paying people and paying companies to get that level of influence and that reach, then it makes sense, right? From an output perspective, like we treat it like any marketing effort, dollars in to dollars out, or direct benefit out. So they're the four things. They're the four organic things. Socials up to scratch, consistent content. You want to be running competitions and you want to be really strategic about it. Dollars in, dollars out. Influencers and affiliates, super powerful, super important, consistent effort on a monthly basis. And PR, public relations, other people's media to be able to push to you. So that builds massive credibility, massive trust, and leveraging audience over to you. That first impression is served, they get retargeted, and they push through the funnel and will eventually purchase. So they're four massively powerful techniques that we've used, we advise our clients to use on a daily basis, and something that you can now use. And so if you want to know more about what we do, you can click the link below. It gives you a bit of an explanation about how we help e-commerce businesses scale to their first 10K, 20K, 30K, 40K, 50K, every level of scale you can imagine. If not, no worries, of course. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you got value from it. If you did, give it a like, give me a subscribe, and I'll be creating a lot more videos like this of value specifically for e-commerce growth. So other than that, thanks for being here. Appreciate it. I hope you got value, and I'll see you in the next video. Cheers.